Hello, welcome to the stream. Today's stream it will be one where I just chat about Valkyries from Macross. It's gonna be great. And now for the daily seeing if the proper chat worked. Whoa, it did. That's surprising. From Belly F. Frambling. Gonosauria. That is great. Um. Anyway, for those unaware, today's stream is just like chatting about the mecha from a certain mecha show called Super Dimensional Fortress Macross. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. It is also free to watch. The original is free to watch on YouTube. It's like 36 episodes. It's exactly 36 episodes long. Although the first episode is blocked in some regions on YouTube, including mine. You know what? I want to light a candle, so you guys are going to get to have ASMR of me like lighting a candle. Hopefully not burning down everything by trying to light the match so you guys can hear it with the mic. That would be a funny way to go, though. I'll say that much. I need to turn or off the Discord notification sound. No choice but to blow up. So true, I suppose. It's not working. Let's try the other side of the box. Oh, there we go. I almost burnt the matchbox. I can be trusted with fire and matches. And other things that make fire. Huh, it didn't go out. I'm gonna do the thing that Shrek does where he puts it out with his fingers. I did it. I was hoping it would make like a hissing sound, but then again, if it made a hissing sound like it does in the movie, it would probably burn my fingers. I don't know if you guys could hear when I like lit the match. Gundam plane. Yeah, that's basically what it is. So I was thinking one way that I could do like letting you guys see, because I want to like have pictures, especially because I made transparent images of like a lot of different Valkyries. I was thinking I could just like use a Google Slides because there's nothing Google Slides can't do. Okay. Now window capture. But hang on. First, I gotta put this below my UI. That is, wait, I have the behind thing there. There we go. Next, I gotta size it. There. Now I have an easy way. Well, let's make it dark. That's better. Especially since now I can realize... Wait, where did I put that? Is it this one? Yeah. I really need to start naming the things I make. Actually, hang on one moment. I need to go, if I'm going to be talking about something for a long time, I need to go grab something to drink. Because my voice will get tired otherwise. So I'll be right back. It'll only take a second. Okay, I am back. I'm so back. Let me check. Play Skyrim as a Valkyrie and pretend all of the NPCs are Zentradi. That actually would be great. I could. Oh, actually, I could probably, using OBS, I could probably add a filter to the audio that would like make all the voices like boom, just like the Zentradi. That would actually be cool. But you can't shoot things. And Valkyries generally don't have melee weapons until the VF20. I think the VF24, but I'm not sure. I'm guessing it would. But we don't actually have any concrete information. So probably the latest or the earliest confirmed or Valkyrie confirmed to have a melee weapon that I'm aware of is the VF25. Hang on, I need to check. I don't feel like doing math. 160 times 3. Okay. Plus. Wait. How much? What size? 16 fluid ounces. Monster. Ultra. 0 caffeine amount. 140 milligrams per can. Ooh, so this thing actually has more. 140, 620. I mean, I'll probably be fine, honestly. Because this is my 4th monster, or not monster. This is a Rockstar Energy because it's on sale for cheaper. Ooh, it's like foaming up. Yeah, because it's carbonated. Of course it would. I'll be fine. 620 milligrams of caffeine isn't that much over the like what's usually safe, and I have a high resistance to things like that, so I'll be fine. If I'm not, then if I've got to go some way. But no, I seriously will. Anyway, I was thinking one thing that could be cool to do is like grab images of some so part of the reason I made it dark was to show off. I've been like removing the backgrounds from things. I want to talk about I want to just like show like relations between things. So I'm just gonna like talk about just like how different things are related to each other, different Valkyries. Where is the VFX? Technically, this would be the first Valkyrie. So, at this point, Macross is alternate timeline. Grabbing the... what? Why did you say that in my chat? Also, wait a second. I don't think I'm using the highest level of tracking. Whoa, stop that. Wait, I can go into my settings while my model is on. That's cool. Because it uses the different thing now. Oh, wait, I am using the best type of tracking. That's weird. It can't... It's not really letting me move my eyebrows separately. I'll have to try that later. That's what I said. I never said grabbing the jizz. I don't know what you misheard as that. Because I don't keep track of what I said. But I'm probably mostly going to talk about like more obscure variants. So, but Macross is like, at this point, it's alternate timeline because the Unification War. So I think, when did the ASS-1 even land? Macross. Come on, stop that. ASS-1. So that's one thing they took out of American releases, probably for a good reason, or not probably for a good reason, but it's probably a good thing, is that they, like, 1999, I think. Yes. 1999 is when a Supervision Army gun destroyer crashed on South Ateria Island. And was named the Alien Starship 1, or ASS-1. They probably removed ASS-1 because of what ASS spells in English. That's probably why they removed that from Robotech, which is one change in Robotech I actually agree with for an American release, is probably changing that acronym is maybe good. I guess they could probably have just changed it from Starship to Star, or rather from Starship to Starship, and make it AS1. Or maybe Alien Spacecraft 1 and make it ASC 1. They could do that. I should have my BGM on because you guys can hear my voice way too much. Also because I want to listen to music, and if I have music playing through my headphones and I don't have my BGM on, then you guys will be able to hear it. Probably not enough for it to get the copyright strike, but that's vehicular. What is that? Whatever. Anyway, by the way, you guys need to all search up small enemy spider. Not right now. Right now, you need to be watching me. Nobody's allowed to watch. If you enter this stream, you're not allowed to leave until it's over. You're not allowed. It's you know what? Wait, you can see my mouse cursor. That's kind of cool, actually. If I do it quickly, or just put it barely there, you can see the horror. Oh. Ah. Oh. Ah. Oh. Ah. Okay, that was really stupid. That was really stupid. That's among the stupidest things I've done. Anyway. Rule. Okay. New rule. If you enter the stream, you are not allowed to leave until it is over. 7 billion things going through your mind in 3 seconds, and they're all German. That is so true. Can I make this the Aldrich font? I can make it the Doom font. If I can't make it Aldrich, then I will legitimately just make it the Doom font. Yeah, it looks like I can't. Okay. That's, I think, too small. Why is it not showing up? That's really weird, actually. Huh. Okay, well... Does that let it work? Nope. Okay. That's weird. It's not letting me use, like, any fonts other than Arial. Did you just make it backwards somehow? What's happening? What? And now it's all... Huh? Okay, start over. It became... What even happened? Okay. Well, that didn't work. Okay, it won't let me use. It will let me use the Doom font. That would be really funny. Ah, that is so sad. That is quite the gradient. I can make it a gradient. Oh my god. Oh man, we're so back. Oh man, that's cool. That's cool. Wow. Oh, the things I've learned to do. But I need to make this smaller. That's okay, okay. Oh man, that's so cool. I can have a gradient on text. That is the coolest thing ever. Okay, now let's make a... just a simple black outline, so that you can actually read it. Okay. Anyway, I need to stop messing around with stuff like that and put this on screen. Uh-oh. That's not locked. So this thing was the VFX let's add a new slide and just leave it there. There, now it's blank. Yeah, so this thing was the VFX. It doesn't have any modes except just the one. It could technically... it has the ability to transform into Bad Shredder Garwalk, but it can't because it was really only meant to test to see if if this could be like a legitimate fighter plane as far as just a fighter plane goes. Spoiler alert, it definitely could. But, so that's an interesting variant that a lot of people, like, don't know about or forget about, even, like, fans of the series. And if we put it, like, next to... oh, and you can see if I change the theme, you can see I gave it a transparent background because I like adding transparent backgrounds to things. I did that too. If anybody needs any like transparent images of a Valkyrie for a project, please, for the love of God, ask me for transparent images of Valkyries. Any Valkyrie. I probably have it if it's before like 2030. No, because actually I have the VF-19A, which is from 2046, I think. Anyway, this thing is from like 2011 or 2009 in universe. But if we put that next to a standard VF-1A, where's just the normal VF-1A? There it is. Go with me VF-40,000. What? Oh, 40,000. Okay. if we put it there, you can see that it's like, it's not exactly the same, but it's mostly the same. It does lack some things, such as these nose-mounted lasers, and then this section here is also where the legs are put, as well as just having some slightly different lines, and it lacks a head, so it doesn't have a head laser either. And I'm not sure if it could even technically wield the gun pod, as well as some aspects of the fuselage are different, because it doesn't actually need to transform. But what's also interesting that a lot of people seem to think was a prototype, even though technically it's it's based on the VF1, not the other way around. Is the VF0? Where's the VF0A? I have too many VF0 files because not all of them are line arts. Some of them are XCF files. I believe this is actually to scale, by the way. It was a lot bigger. Actually, I think it's even bigger than that. More like that. I believe that's to scale, by the way. I really like the VF0, but it's interesting because a lot of people seem to think that it's based on the VF1. When it's actually the VF1 is based on it. Just like you. Wow. Is that really so? So there's a lot of interesting facts about the VF0. It uses different weapons than the VF1. So the biggest thing is that the thermonuclear engines that the VF1 uses, the VF0 did not have access to, so it obviously doesn't use them. Which means it has significantly lower generator output, and also the lack of thermonuclear engines means that it has traditional jet engines, so while it can operate underwater for short periods of time, this thing cannot operate in space, unlike the VF1, and theoretically even the VFX, although it never did. But theoretically it could. But in general, it uses lighter versions of the VF1's weapons. For instance, its missiles are more similar to an F-14 Kai. So that was where the development. That's why this thing looks. The VF1 looks so much like an F-14 here. Actually, all three of these, especially the VF0. Partly because it's like a similar size to an F-14. In Macross, there was a variant of the F-14 made. So they, instead of retiring the F-14, they made an enhanced variant called the called the F-14++ Super Tomcat, which basically fixed all the Tomcat's problems with being a quote-unquote hanger queen. So the Tomcat had problems with that it was very maintenance heavy, which is what being a hanger queen means. Oh, hanger queen, yes. What is kind of interesting with these line arts that I did, that I'm kind of proud of, is that if you look, when you put it in front of another one, the visor is actually like properly tinted, which you can also see easily if I change the color here. But anyway, it also just made it the Tomcat generally even more competent of a fighter than it already was, which is that's saying something. But the VF0 was made in response to a lack of VF1s available, mostly because the thermonuclear engines were not yet available. Everything else was basically there, but so they extended the airframe of the legs and in general made it considerably larger. However, on top of that, it's one of the technologies that they got from the ASS-1, one of the quote-unquote over technologies, was something called shit, I forgot what it was called. it was its armor material, energy conversion armor, which basically, so the Batroid mode, I'll put on screen the Batroid mode of the VF0, and I'll put the VF1 there as well, and I will make them roughly scaled, or I can make him a short king. Look at that creature. Convert armor to diesel. Wow. Look at him. He's the creature. Just give him like that. Actually, okay, wait. I'll keep him like that, but let me make him, in general, smaller. I'll keep him like that over here. And I'll put another one over here for actual purposes. They're brothers, by the way. Whoa, I almost... Okay. Is that accurate? I feel like maybe it is. Yeah, that feels pretty accurate. But the fact that the VF0 is larger is... You might think at first it's an upside, but it's actually a downside. First of all, that means more weight, which means the engines have to work even harder, and the engines are already weaker. Actually, that might not even be accurate. It might be more like that. Or that. Yeah, that seems accurate. So the engines have to work even harder, and they're weaker, so it has to, that means that it has to be larger to be able to just fly. So, because it has to have larger wings. So its overall performance is significantly lower than the VF1. It also means that it can't use a lot of the VF1's weaponry. For instance, I believe this GU-11 gun pod, which fires 55mm rounds, was already completed. But the, I don't think I have any, oh wait, the Garwalk mudliner, actually I think has it holding it, yes it does. So it used instead this different gun pod, the GU9 instead of the GP, yeah, instead of this GU11, it used this GPU9 gun pod. This is not to scale, by the way. This one is not to scale with either of these two. Which is, it fires at the same rate of fire, and has the same number of barrels, but it uses 35mm ammo instead, because it's lighter. It also uses missiles more similar to what the F-14 Tomcat uses than the much better missiles that the VF-1 uses. As well as the fact that the weight constrictions means that its armor has to be thinner. And also, some parts in Batroid mode, you can see some parts of the inner frame there and there, which exposed inner frame, while looking kind of cool, is bad. Because you all of a sudden now the enemy has a place to hit, and if the enemy hits you there, then if a missile happens to hit right there, he's done. He's gone. It's over for him. But also the he'll live. I mean, well, yeah, it's not like he'll die, but the arm is done. The arm is gone. Whereas if that same missile hit right there, it might blow off the arm, but it also might not. It's got a much higher chance of not blowing off the arm. Also, the fact that the F0 or the VF0 is larger means that it is it's a smaller target. I mean, it's a larger target, so it's more likely to get hit in the first place. It also doesn't have the nose-mounted lasers of the VF1. And whereas the VF1S has 4 head lasers, the VF0S only has 2, presumably because that's the most that it could have, even with the even higher tuned engines. Additionally, it was just harder to pilot, because the handling was much more finicky than the VF1. Once again, because of that, the much lower power generator and larger size. So not that many were made. I believe there were 24 VF0As made. 4 VF0Bs, 6 VF0Cs, 14 VF0Ds, and 4 VF0Ss made, which is all the variants it had. I think. Whereas it's hard to say how many VF1s were made, other than a lot. Especially the A model you see here. There were a ridiculous amount of VF1As made. But I do still really like the VF0. Some aspects of the design I like actually more than the VF1, although generally I like the VF0 more. I do really like this creature in the side here. He he's so real. But anyway, the energy conversion armor. So what energy conversion armor did is, obviously in this mode, if it had the same engine output as in the fighter mode, it would be impossible to control considering the engines are on the feet and it can hover. Same as with Gerwalk mode. Gerwalk is ground effective reinforcement of winged armament with locomotive knee joint. It's an acronym. So basically the excess generator output is instead used for strengthening the armor. So the lower generator output meant that the VF0's armor was even weaker, on top of already being just thinner to save weight. So it was definitely, it was what they could do at the time, and it was a lot better than a NF-14 Tomcat, or Super Tomcat. So, I mean, it's not like it's bad that it existed, it's very good that it existed, but I should just duplicate the slide and then remove all the things. Except him, he gets to stay. And then duplicate again. There we go. I want to talk about the different variants of the VF0. So this is the A model, which, like I said, had 24 units made. It's getting a little bit blurry. That's a lot better. And then next, where's the B model? Fighter mode. Okay, that's in the space proving wing colors. Oh, right there, I'm blind. So the B model was mostly the same as the A model, but it had a twin-seater cockpit. It was most used by the Space Proving Wing. Enough so that they actually had their own color scheme for it. But definitely the biggest change is the twin-seater cockpit. So that's the normal colors. You'll most often see it, though, in this Space Proving Wing colors. Oh, by the way, the VF0B has no official line art, so all VF0B line art you see was made by me by editing VF0A and D line art. You should totally, like, praise me for that and stuff. Wait, hang on. I know how I want to do this. Hang on, I want to get it properly sized. There we go. I mean, that's close enough. Actually, that's exact. You will not? Damn. But anyway, these are the Space Proving Wing colors. You can even see right there, it says Space Proving Wing, and SPW there, with the Space Proving Wing logo on the vertical stabilizers. And then the next variant... Oh, this had 4 units only produced. At least one was used by the Space Proving Wing. I'm personally of the opinion that at least 2 were used by the Space Proving Wing, possibly 3, but at least 1 was probably kept in the standard colors. But that's totally speculation on my part. since we just don't know. But next was next is the C type. This was used mostly by the UN Spacey Marines, the UN Marines, because after complaints of aging fighter craft. That is the normal colors. It does look actually quite nice in those like drab gray colors. Like even you can see even the UN kite insignia has become a drab gray with these 2 missile pods. It was also often seen with a different kind of missile pod there and a second kind, or 2 more of these under the wings, but I didn't put them there because I didn't want to deal with that in Batroid mode. Hooray, laziness! But I did at least put these ones there because they're almost always seen with that. But the only time we actually have either the B or the either of these two is the C or the B are both from a Hasegawa model kit, which the B1 only comes in Space Proving Wing colors, so the normal colors are just my take on what they would be, based on the normal colors of the A-type. But the C-type model kit actually comes with in normal colors, but it also comes in these colors. Wait, did I just replace it with that? Yeah, I didn't want to do that. Wait, can I copy, paste? Okay, that's actually perfect. Wait, hang on. Wait, I want to grab the other one. No, I want to... Okay, hang on. I want to put the, that one there. And put this one in line with these two. And then replace it with the VMFAT 203 Hawks colors. Sprockets, hello. Welcome to the stream. I'm talking about Valkyries. Oh, and like I said, these colors are both of the C-type linearts were also made by me in both colors, because we did not have any linearts for that either. And then the last variant is one that we do actually finally have an official line art for. The I forgot this one's a larger file size than the others, because the main character pile is a D-type for most of the show. So, you know. There. So these are the... So, 24 of these, 4 of these, 6 of these, and 14 of these. But then the last final variant... Whoops. Hey, let me undo that. Stop that! Okay, I did it so fast that it forgot that it wanted to make me do something I didn't want to do because it was stupid and a bad idea. That is not the correct size. That is still too small. Anyway, this is the S-type. which had higher performance than the others. But it had the same general body type as the A-type, and the single-seater cockpit as well. What on earth did YouTube decide to autoplay for me? Let's duplicate that slide. What on earth? Oh. Okay, I found out what you tried autoplayed for me. Anyway, moving on to the natural place to move on to, the Gerwalk form. Actually, hang on. If I duplicate this slide instead, I could probably... Oh, yeah. Can I just make it... No, I can't. So this is the A-type. I think the edge of the wing got cut off there. That's interesting that it would do that. Okay, so I don't want to do it that way because it's cutting off the edge of the wing. It'd be so much easier, but no, it's fine. So this is the Gerwalk mode. Gerwalk, as you can see, is a strange bird-like mix of fighter and Batroid. And like I mentioned before, Gerwalk is literally ground-effective reinforcement of winged armament with locomotive knee joint. The locomotive knee joint refers to how the knees are bent backwards there. But this is the A-type. And then the where's the B-type Gerwalk? There it is. This time I'm not going to bother to bring anything other than the space-proven wing colors, but I just had the idea to make this so much easier. There we go. Yeah, this is the Gerwalk mode of the space-proven wing colors, B-type. In Gerwalk mode, you can more clearly see the SPW there, but you cannot see the logo at all. No other word, space-proven wing. And then where's the C-type Gerwalk mode? I know I made a Gerwalk mode of the C-type. Did I am I going crazy? No, I did. Okay. And then once again, we'll put that off to the side there so that I can add the VMAT or VMFAT 203 Hawks colors. And I do think that the Gerwalk mode with the experimental delta wings looks quite interesting and nice. And then finally, the D-type. Whoa, hey. That is not what you were supposed to do. Which does look a bit more flashy than the, that. And sadly, I actually can't put an S-type on here because I still haven't made the VF0S Gerwalk mode liner, and for some reason there is no Gerwalk mode liner on specifically the S-type. I couldn't tell you why. But, these will have to suffice. But yeah, like I said, the Delta Wings look quite nice in Gerwalk mode. But also, these two color schemes are very interesting. The VMFAT Hawks colors and the Space Proven Wing colors. And then finally, Batroid mode, which I think I'm not going to do in this sort of layout. Like that would be good. So that's the VF0A. And then the VF0B is right here. And the B has the same head type as the D, which actually, when you think about it, makes a lot of sense for the purposes of, for like ease of production. Nope, that is correct. It looks off. Anyway. Where's the, C type? There it is. You did not work the way you were supposed to. There we go. There, the three Jitsugs. Great. So I would assume that this head type has better sensors, that the two-person cockpit is better equipped to take advantage of. But you can actually see these aren't quite the same shade of gray. This is lighter and slightly more blue. It's more of a cool gray, whereas this is a completely neutral gray. Which I almost didn't bother going through the trouble of doing, but I did. So appreciate it. And then the Bandai favorite shot, not Bandai, wow, Bandai. The Big West favorite child, dude, the D type, because it was the protagonist. And then finally and lastly, my favorite type, the S type. So many monsters. Yes, 6 of them. I'm not bothering to put the normal colors of the VF0B, first of all, because I don't know if those are actually for sure the normal colors. And also because they're exactly the same as the VF0A, so it would be just a little bit silly to do so. The cockpit, by the way, here was kind of a mess to deal with because it's kind of like, you know, covered up by this, like, line of, like, light. But I managed, as you can see clearly. But this would have been more of a mess to deal with if I needed it for something, but it's the same visually as the A type, so that'd be kind of useless, wouldn't it? But it's just kind of funny to think that although a lot of people think of the VF0 because it carries the 0 number, a lot of people think of it as the as a prototype of the A. But when you think about it, it's actually more of a successor. Well, not exactly successor, but you know, it is a variant of the VF1, not the other way around. It's also interesting to see how the Marines colors are both like more realistic, especially with this like blob of darker color, which we see it on real aircraft as like camouflage. That's interesting to see on a variable fighter. But other things, so I might as well make similar lists of the VF1, but I'm only going to bother for fighter mode, not fighter, for Batroid mode, because Batroid mode is, I'm also not going to put them side by side because there's just less differences, and VF1 only has a difference in the head. But there we have the VF1. Let's make him a bit, oops, don't need him to be skinny. There. Now you guys can see him a little better. Actually, maybe a bit smaller still would be better than that. And there were several different colors that he had. Stop that. It opened up a new window, image viewer window. So this is the, he turned his head. Hey, look. Guys, look. He's looking at you. Anyway, this is the Alaska-based colors, which are quite interesting. And the Angel Bird colors for demonstration. The Blazer Squad colors, which is actually, this is interestingly, this is based on an animation mistake and is not exactly canon, but I like to think of it as being canon. And then the Low Visibility Cavalier Squad colors. This is actually not based on an animation mistake and is canon, and very cool. And the Kakizaki custom colors. And the Max Genius custom colors. And that's all the custom colors to the F1A. But then the J-type, there was, I've heard some interesting, oh wait, first, it can also mount the GBP-1S armor system, making it the so-called Armored Valkyrie. With those being the black colors, which I'm not sure what exactly are for, and that the normal colors. And then next variant is the VF1D, which is a two-seater model. You can see by the cockpit. But unlike the D type of the VF0, this is specifically a trainer model, which you can see by the yellow color scheme, not yellow-orange color scheme, but it was also used in these Virgin Road colors for something that I'm not going to talk about because I don't want to accidentally spoil anybody who hasn't watched the show. Interestingly, the original line art of the VF1D is this, but I made a slight edit to, you can see there are some damages on it in the line art. I just removed those. Just a slight edit, but one that I found to be worth doing. And then the next is the VF1J. This is not official line art. It's made by a fan who is not me. I don't know exactly who made this, but I found it on the Macross Mecha Manual. This is likely the standard color scheme, considering it's exactly the same as the standard color scheme of the VF1A. And we see this color scheme several times in the show. As for what exactly J stands for, we don't actually know. Do I not have? No, I do. Okay. Hang on. I improperly named one of my line arts that I had downloaded, because I have all these downloaded. Why? I'm not obsessed. Just saying. I mean, not any reason, but I'm just stating a fact that I'm really not. These are the Hikaru Ichijo custom colors, which are, this is what most people who haven't actually watched Macross are probably used to seeing. Well, other than one other custom colors that I'll show in a bit, of a different one. And the Max Genius colors. And the Miria Falina, or Falina Purina Genius colors. And it can also mount the GBP-1S. In fact, it was the first to mount the GBP-1S armor system. Fan-made explanation, I think it was fan-made, actually it might have been from an interview with Shoichiko Omori, I don't remember, is that whereas all the other variants were made by American companies in universe, the VF1J specifically is made by I don't remember the name of the company now. My brain is just not working today. You can take the 8-hour shift of my real job for that, but it was a Japanese company. And they also manufactured the GBP-1S, so it was made with, as far as like software-wise, it was made with the GBP-1S in mind. So any other variant would have to have a software update to use the GBP-1S, whereas the VF1J would not. But interestingly, there's an early design for it that I like to think of as a prototype for the GBP-1S that I've referred to as the GBP-S. Or not S, GBP-X, which is probably what it would be called based on Macross's naming conventions in universe. But that is, it's not exactly canon because it's something that was just, it's just an early draft of the design is all. But I like to think of it as a prototype personally. Oh, and of course they can all mount a fast pack. As to what that is, I'll get to that in just a minute. But then we have my favorite variant. Wait, do I have it in normal colors? I do not. Oh well. It was never shown in normal colors, so. The VF1S, with the head made by the same company that made the J. But the rest of it is made by, I think it was Northrop. And in the original show, this is the only color scheme we see it in. And then later, we have the VF1X, much later, in the game Macross Digital Mission VFX, which this is one that most people probably haven't heard of. Notice that it's compared to the original A-Type, the head camera there is a little bit different. It's no longer capturing my cursor. Oh, now it is. The head camera there is a little bit different. It's got this mark on the side of the head, and the hands are much, if you look at his like little hand there, or if I go like that, you can see the original hands were much more rounded, almost balloon-like, although I think I like the way this hand looks a little better, whereas these are very squared off. And we'll get to exactly why I think that is in a minute. But first we'll go over a few other variants. So next, I think I only put this in, I don't remember if I put this in anywhere other than the needs work folder. Let me check. Where would it be though? No, I must not have. Because it's the only liner we have for it is not very good or complete. It's the VEFR1. Whoops. So you notice it still has even the background. I haven't even removed that yet. I'm gonna need to actually fully import this as a separate image. So some Macross fans might look at this and say, wait a minute, that's not what that looked like. Noting its two-seater cockpit, lack of a general head area for the most part that you can see, and very importantly, the lack of manipulators. This was shown in the original show for just like a few seconds, and this one also does have a completely separate, or a different, there are some differences on the wings, stabilizers, and obviously the radome compared to the normal VF1. But it was only shown for like a few frames in the original show. But it is the VEFR1, which is a reconnaissance-based variant, nicknamed Funny Chinese, which is that's a nickname we might not want to use for it. But later, that was, and this is once again kind of, well, actually, before we get into that, I'll show this, which is something that was supposed to be in the show, but didn't quite get added. It's called the Armored Gerwalk. That'd be over here would be better because my model. It can't transform with the armor on, which, by the way, the GBP1S can't, or stops being able to transform with the armor is ditched as well. And interestingly covers the cockpit. This, I believe, was supposed to be in the show, but got cut for whatever reason. I would love to make a model kit of it, but right now, this line art is the only way that exists. But then, anyway, back to variants. Is it more defensive? Yes. Most people might instead remember that is too small. Most people instead might remember this. Which I believe was developed into this, it was all into this from that, which is a different reconnaissance-based Valkyrie. With a, I think, personally, even more interesting, well, maybe a little bit less interesting, but still very interesting fighter mode. The VE1. Technically, it's referred to as the Valkyrie electronic warfare type. Whoops, stop that. Oh, I forgot I could do that. Wow. I can, okay, I have to stop for a second to go to the next one. Ah, that's a stupid way to do it. Oh, and the VF-0 also had its own version of the armor, which was reactive armor, and didn't carry nearly as much armament as the GBP1S. Once again, actually, I decided to be better because of my model. So now we get to the interesting question of when was developed. Well, wait, actually, first there's also the VT1. We never actually see it in Batroid mode. I'll use this slide, actually. But this was its fighter mode. It's another two-seater model, but there's some interesting things with the lack of that, like, brake/stop there. A slight change in the shape of the cockpit, and this... I have a blister on my toe from walking for so long. The wing is slightly different as well. And these two, whatever those are, added. With this being the Gerwalk mode, notice the lack of arms. And it was never actually shown in Batroid mode, making many people think it didn't have one. But it actually does, although the line art is quite rough. I want to redo this line art. In fact, I need to copy it into the Needs Work folder. The Needs Work folder is for line art that, you guessed it, needs work done on it. Although I accidentally put the Macross in there as well. I'll fix that later. But this was seemingly based on the VF1D. It's the VT1. Instead of being a trainer variant of it, it's a whole new model based on it that is a trainer. And it did also have its own customized fast pack, because unlike the VF1D that could mount all of the VF1's weapons, the VT1 could not. And it has this special fast pack that does not have all those weapons. But now we get to this, where an interesting thing occurs where we look at the movie, which is not canon. The movie exists in canon as a in-universe movie based on the events of Space War 1. So these are the colors of Hikaru's VF1 from the movie. And then in the movie, these are Kakizaki's colors. And do I not have the max colors saved? Huh. Weird. It probably doesn't ever show his VF1 without the fast pack is why. Oh yeah, it doesn't, so there doesn't exist it. I should make it though. Favorite movie? Is that because it has a window in it? That was just like an inside joke where I don't feel like explaining it. I'm not going to. But notice it has the same difference in head and manipulators. We don't ever see any VF1Js except for one that has the armor pack in like one frame, and it's like in the corner. But we do also see some VF1Ss. So, for the purposes of showing differences, I'll replace this with the TV version of the VF1S in Skull Leader colors. And after my PC decides not to be stupid, that is the Do You Remember Love version. Notice the slight difference in head and the difference in manipulators. And then this is the VF1S in, or Do You Remember Love version in max colors. And then I also only happen to have line art of the TV version Valkyrie with the fast pack in Gearwalk mode. I don't know why I don't have it in Batroid mode. Maybe it doesn't exist. But there is movie version VF1. The shading on this, by the way, is superb, and that's the shading that's used in the movie. And it's the same fast pack that we see in the TV version. And then also, you know, in Kakizaki colors and Max colors and the normal Skull Squadron colors, which these look very odd, but it is what it is. And the standard colors. I don't know why it adds orange on the standard colors in Do You Remember Love, but it did for some reason. But interestingly, it added a new kind of fast pack that we only see on VF1Ss, which I tend to think of as I forgot to turn off my my headphones disconnected. I forgot to turn off my speakers. YouTube, please don't get angry at me as far as copyright goes. Please. I don't need that right now. Anyway. It replaces one of the missile pods with a twin barrel beam cannon. The Mauler beam cannon, I believe it was called. Which I tend to think of this as a later variant that came out after Space War 1. That appeared in the movie despite not existing at the time. How could you? Wow. That is an interesting response to have. Anyway, but if you look at, if I switch it back to something that is not with the fast pack. Hang on. So, switch back to something that is not fast pack equipped. If you look at those manipulators, and then I look at anything from later, say the VF-17D. That has very squared off manipulators. Not to this extent, but it does. Or the VF-19A. Or, much more importantly, probably the most highly produced Valkyrie ever, the VF-11, which is made at the same time as the VF-1X. So I believe probably the VF-1s that we see in the movie Do You Remember Love, probably the reason we see those differences is probably on the VF-1X, they most likely replaced the manipulators with more squared off ones so that it would be more compatible with more modern weaponry used by more modern Valkyries, such as the VF-11's gun pod, which is, it fires 35mm rounds, the same as the VF-Zeros, but considerably faster than the VF-1, resulting in a gun pod that is slightly more effective and has considerably more ammunition. And this is specifically the VFX Ravens colors, as was the VF-1D. The VF-19A seems to be the normal colors. But anyway, ballistic indeed. Moving on with variants not many people know, I don't think there was ever a VF2. But there was a VF3. Well, a prototype for one. Meet the VFX3 Crusader. This is an interesting one because, first of all, it has no Gearwalk mode because it is meant exclusively for space combat. Even a lot of hardcore Macross fans probably don't know this one, as it was only featured in the PC-98 game, or Japanese-only game, Macross Remember Me. I believe that was the game it was from anyway. Yeah, it was. So you can see some similarities to the VF-1. It seems to get a lot of its interesting design quirks. Oh, wait, no, this wasn't called Crusader, but it was something that's called, or maybe it was. Anyway, VFX3 is the important thing. Something was also called Medusa. But it's interesting to compare that with another unit exclusive to that game. It was also without Gearwalk mode. The Stampede Valkyrie, which seems to be, mostly to me, it seems like it's an interesting integrated super pack that is fast pack. This, by the way, is one of my favorite heads out of any mecha ever. I love that head design. It is the perfect head design. Initially, it looks quite different from the VF-1, but then you can start to notice the ways that it's actually the same. Such as the arm here, you can see it's exactly the same. This almost just looks like it has a cover over it. If you look right here, this whole section here is the same. Looks silly? I think it looks cool. I actually really like this. But it sucks because it doesn't have a Gearwalk mode. But it doesn't need it because it's for space use. And Gearwalk mode is ground effective reinforcement of winged armor with locomotive knee joint. Not only does this not have wings, it also doesn't need to be ground effective, now does it? But it's got a very interesting fighter mode that I really enjoy, because it doesn't need to worry about being, what's it called? Aerodynamic, because it's for space. It gives me incredible Gundam MSV vibes. But it is not canon, sadly, but many of us do consider it to be, so myself included. And then the next one we see is the VF4. Where is it? I have a lot of these, so sometimes it gets confusing. Ah! Actually, I don't want to show that one first. So, the first time we saw VF4 was actually Hikaru having a model kit of it in the original Super Dimension Fortress Macross. Most people think it was introduced in the special edition of Do You Remember Love in Macross Flashback 2012, which was added to the end of the credits. Although it was also released as its own separate thing. But Hikaru does have a model kit of it in the original Macross. Ogdenmod, hello, welcome to the stream. I've been talking about Valkyries. You missed everything about the VF-Zero, including my custom line arts, which are this one and this one. The VF-Zero-B and VF-Zero-C. I made these line arts. Be proud of me. Praise me. I deserve that. Anyway, jokes aside, back to the VF4. Sadly, this is the only Garwalk mode. Talk for 67 more hours. Understood. So this is the only... Talking about Zero is any good. It is very good. It's also only like 8 episodes long. So it's definitely worth a watch. But sadly, this is the only VF4 Garwalk mode line art we have. It is very rough. Especially in this whole area where I can hardly tell what's going on. It looks like it has a very long neck. It does, actually. The VF4 has the distinction of being the first Valkyrie to use Zentradi technology. And this one actually is completely canon as well, because Macross Flashback 2012 is canon. It's within the universe of Macross. It is them adding actual historical footage of the Mega Road 1 taking off to the end of the movie Do You Remember Love? Mega Road 1, by the way, was the successor to the Macross, a colony ship. Anyway. And there's the, Batroid mode. A bit of trivia is that for the longest time, people thought that the VF4 didn't have a Batroid mode. Did I just do the wrong one? No, I didn't. I believe the first time the VF4's Batroid mode was shown off was in the PS1 game Macross Digital Mission VFX. Or it might have been VFX2. But it was also included as a secret unlockable unit awarded by, I think, completing all missions in Macross... well, it was just called Macross, Super Dimensional Fortress Macross for the PS2, which I have streamed, by the way, but I've only streamed so far the Prometheus branch, which is the TV version. The movie version is the Armed 1 branch, so I will be doing that probably next week. I need to make the schedule still. But anyway. Notice that Macross fan discourse is usually about how awesome Do You Remember Plus are and how 7 and Delta suck. So, people who like 7 just don't understand at all. So, if you were to look at the Japanese side, you would actually find a lot of love for 7. 7 is the most popular Macross series on the Japanese side of the fanbase. But the English audience doesn't seem to get 7. But Macross 7 is my favorite show of all time. Which means I like Macross 7 more than any Gundam show. Although, actually, some people might be surprised to hear this because I generally talk about Gundam more. Mostly because there's more content, and honestly, more importantly, there's a lot more model kits and better access to those model kits. But I actually like Macross more than Gundam. As a whole. And the original Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, specifically the original show... You avoid most Macross fan interaction. Honestly, I can't blame you for choosing to avoid fan interaction from any franchise, but there are a few Macross fans that I do enjoy talking to. But Do You Remember Love is interesting. Basara can't beat America. Oh, just give it time. But Do You Remember Love is definitely interesting. The animation is amazing. But I don't like it nearly as much as the original show. It just isn't long enough to do what the original show did. and it doesn't. It just doesn't carry the same weight to me. But I am very glad that it exists as an in-universe movie instead of trying to make it canon or retconning the original show. I'm very, very glad they didn't do that. That would have sucked. It's also better than if they just, like, avoided talking about it entirely, because that would also suck. Though for different reasons. But Plus is also very good. Macross Plus, the movie version, is one of my favorite movies. It's up there with Godzilla -1, Premiere, and the two Gurren Lagann movies. And Gundam Double Awakening of the Trailblazer. But it's sort of... A big problem with Do You Remember Love is not explaining the setting in the beginning. Yes, that is definitely true. But I also feel like it's a problem that sort of couldn't be avoided. Because it's just one movie. You don't have that much time. So, and also, it does sort of make sense in the context of a movie to really grab the viewer's attention in the beginning. Because the beginning and the end are what they most remember. So you want to really dazzle them so that they, you know, tell all their friends, wow, you should totally watch this movie. And then they get more, you know, more ticket sales and all that. But I don't think it's good to watch Do You Remember Love separately from the original show. I think it's better to watch the original show and then watch Do You Remember Love. Or maybe if you've, like, got a friend that you want to get into Macross, but they just don't care enough to bother to watch a full show, you can say, well, just we can watch Do You Remember Love. And then that can get them into the show, and they can see if they like it. Because it's got a lot of the same themes as the original show. It's just that it doesn't really have time to fully flesh them out. But it is definitely a good watch if you've already watched the original. And for fans in the US, it can basically, as long as you you know, you've got someone who's a Macross fan to explain the differences as to the plot between Macross and Robotech, just like a brief explanation, just like 5 minutes, maybe even just like 2 minutes. It can just be watched by a fan who has not watched the original Macross. Although the original Macross is superior to the Robotech version, so there is that. But anyway, oh, there's one other Valkyrie that actually I think happened before the VF4 that I forgot to bring up. Let me delete the VF4. As I understand it, the VF4 was adopted by the Mega Road 1, but not by anyone else. Which seems to be a theme of different places adopting different Valkyries. So, the other one is this. This was originally going to be as I understand it, it was going to be a model kit line. There was a collaboration between Bandai and Shoji Kawamori. They got canceled, so Shoji Kawamori reworked it in the design into the Karo Maeseki originally intended to dub Do You Remember Love and release that as Robotech the movie. That would have been interesting, that's for sure. They'd have to remove that one nude shot of Minmay. Though, to be honest, I kind of prefer that removed anyway, because I don't really like fan service. It just came to mind that they'd have to do that. So, is that Max's plane? This is one of Max's planes. It's not his VF-1. Max was one of the test pilots for the VF-3000. So this thing is similar in size to the Maximilian Genius, yes. It's similar in size to the VF-0. Let me grab a few size comparisons. So I believe it is just barely shorter. Or if you believe Big West, then it is just barely taller, but they're wrong. The thing is, that's an interesting thing I forgot to mention. So, Big West officially stated the height of the VF-0 to be 14 meters tall exactly, which is not possible. With the given height or length of the fighter mode, which is consistent with what we see on stream, on screen, it is impossible for it to transform into a 14 meter tall Batroid. However, a 56 meter Batroid, which is the dimensions given by the Hasegawa model kit, which I have, by the way, is possible. So many fans, including myself, just disregard Big West entirely on that matter and go completely by the model kit manual. So the VF3000, let me get... Actually, why don't I get specifically Max's VF1J as the VF1 comparison? Where is that? There it is. Tumor level wasn't bad. If they had anything, it would be too long. Yes. So they should have made it. They should have gone with like how Gundam did and made it into like 3 movies. But well, then again, existing as an universe movie, it makes more sense. So there, you can see that the VF3000 is much much larger. So it also has larger thermonuclear engines, so it doesn't suffer the same problems as the VF-0. However, it does suffer other problems, such as when transforming into its fighter mode, which, by the way, I actually kind of like a little bit better than the VF-1's fighter mode. The joints would tend to slip, in addition to several other problems that plague its development, leading to it not being adopted by the UN Spacey. They could have extended Minmei's dialogue at the beginning when she's in concert. That could have worked. But I don't think the target audience was ever really people who haven't watched the original Macross. I'm pretty sure it was intended right from the beginning to be mostly for people who have already watched the original Macross. But Max was not the only test pilot we know of. The VF3000... Oh, this was the Crusader, or maybe this was called Star Crusader, I don't remember. Macross plus your favorite Macross. Oh, it's a lot of people's favorite Macross. And I can't blame you and its other big fans at all. So it was also piloted by Miria. It could be like, it's been 2 months since we had to flee into space in this space fortress when we were attacked by those aliens. Yeah, that definitely could have worked. But it is what it is. Max is the woman who tried to kill him, yes. You know what, though? I'll say, for wanting a girl that would actually try and kill him, Max is so real. So, yes, the VF3000 was also piloted by Miria. But the VF3000, technically it should actually be YF3000, I feel, because it was not adopted, or VFX3000. That is something that kind of irks me, is that sometimes prototypes are denoted with putting X before or replacing their number, and sometimes it is sometimes it's a YF. Probably the X is done as to avoid confusion with the with real life YFs. For instance, the YF23 is completely different from the the Skull Squadron VF1. Yes, the Skull Squadron was VF1s. I have a VF1 over here, with a size comparison with the VFX, which is the exact same size, and the VF0, which is much larger. But I believe the VF3000 did have Garwalk mode, and we just don't have any lantern of it. Maybe I'll try and draw some myself, but I'd have to draw it completely from scratch. VF1 and YF19 Excalibur. I also very much like YF19. This one's an interesting one, though. I forgot. I've got to do it by this. The VF 5000 Star Mirage. Also meant mostly for space use. And with that, plus the fact that it was supposed to be cheaper to produce, it lacks a gearwalk mode. But it also, interestingly to me, it seems to be the first time of this backwards-facing head laser in universe. I do really like this design. It's very interesting. Quite a bit different from other designs. And then there's a lot that we don't really know about. For instance, a VF6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or... Wait, no, 9 we actually do know about. Do I have the VF9? Yes, I do. Oh, and technically there was also another variant of the VF4 called the VF4G. But as you can see, I'll grab the Battle Mode Max colors and the Fighter Mode Miria. As you can see, externally, other than colors, it looks exactly the same as the VF4, the normal VF4. I'm guessing this was an attempt to improve it, but probably failed considering, as far as I know, the UN Spacey outside of specifically the Mega Road 1 fleet did not adopt the VF4, and it looks like they kept using the VF1, which is why there's way too many of them. I have Super Robot Wars Alpha 3. It's fun to control the Skull Squadron in a team attack. That does sound very fun. I can't really play most Super Robot Wars games because I don't know enough Japanese. Particularly reading kanji is... I want to play Super Robot Wars Z2 because I want to see Ronka Lee interact with, from Macross Frontier, interact with Setsuna F. Seiei from Gundam 00. There's a translation in English. Ah, interesting. But I do also want to watch more mecha anime because there's way too many that I haven't watched that'd be in there. But anyway. I'm gonna play Super Robot Wars 2. Mostly, I have played, though, what I have played is, the next song, Do You Remember Love? This actually isn't a karaoke stream this time. I did sing Do You Remember Love, yesterday, during my karaoke stream. But, Z2, oh. Huh. Oh, I see. There. Okay, I got confused for a second because of stream lag. Anyway, yes. But I did sing Do You Remember Love? That is Ayahoshi Masuka yesterday in my karaoke stream. So you could definitely go look at that. But I didn't do that great a job because I messed up the lyrics a few times. I don't have it quite 100% memorized. And another interesting one that some fans might not have seen, it was only briefly shown, and I don't think it was shown in the Max colors, in Macross 7 as far as on-screen appearances, but it is the YF11. And it was the two test pilots were the Thunderbolt, yes, but this is the prototype version. The normal one was the VF11, this is the YF11. So, this one actually, sadly, does not have... They look similar. Externally, they're almost identical. For reference, let me grab... Where's the VF11 in Batroid? Ah! Don't open up a new tab. Oops. So for reference, next to these, where is, there it is. There is the VFX Ravens colors of the VF11. So you can see that other than color differences, The YF11 is almost like its production. It's almost identical to the production variant externally. The production version has some slight differences internally, apparently, but I couldn't tell you what those are. Anyway, despite not having a Gerwalk mode line art, I made one by editing the Gerwalk mode line art of the production model. And I made one for the, wow, don't do that. I made one for the Minaraya colors as well. Interesting that some of the planes Macross don't have Gerwalk. Yes. Well, so the only ones that I can think of that don't have Gerwalk mode are the Stampede Valkyrie, which is not technically canon, and the VFX3, which is of dubious canonicity, and the VF5000, which is for sure canon. So this one does have Gerwalk mode, it's just that there was no line art of it. But I made line art, so if anybody wanted to know what these would look like in Gerwalk mode, well, now you can. So, you're welcome. Let me, hang on. There we go. Let me, move out of the way. But, deleting, whoops, over to 1. Deleting exactly half of these. I will replace them with their standard versions. In VFX Raven's squadron colors. Considering Shoji Kawamori was working on Armored Core at around the same time, Macross Brothers to Jet and Southern Cross, well, with a fighter and robot mode, but no Gerwalk equivalent. Yeah, that was the helicopter one, I think. I do wonder if Shoji Kawamori worked on that. But yes, this is the rope mode is a jet's nose with arms and legs. Oh, so it basically is a Gerwalk. Interesting. But yeah, you can see here that it's the VFX11 is almost the same as, or not VFX11, the YF11 is almost the same as the VF11. Oh, right, what I was saying, the team, no, you're doing a lot of Valkyries, just when you put it on the YF11, piloted by Guld. So, my opinion on a design perspective out of universe is that it is great. One, I saw a really cool image once. I'm not gonna go looking for it now. But, so, I also don't have the YF11 on here. But what I do have is the almost identical VF22. Actually, this will be better if I grab YF11 line art. Where is my other tab? It's over here. YF21. This is going to have a background because I haven't downloaded the image yet, so I haven't removed the background yet, obviously. So this was made by General Galaxy, a new company which is almost entirely Zentradi and uses a lot of Zentradi technology too. So this thing is more Zentradi than Earthling made. So if we compare that to, where is it? There it is. If we compare this with the Quidlin Rao, there are many, many similarities. The head is very similar. It's got a similar spike there. the boost these areas in the back, which are the main thrusters of the unit. The arm-mounted machine guns there. This is basically a Batroid version of the Quidlin Rao. It's essentially a Quidlin Rao that can transform into a fighter or a Gerwalk. And I think the fact that they actually did that is insane in a good way. Actually, even the vents being here is very similar. So I'm very glad that they actually, like, they did that. And it's also great that people didn't even notice, for the most part. What on earth is YouTube having me listen to? Huh. Okay. Anyway. So, on to, you didn't know that? Yes, the things you get to, the powers I gain from being a very hyper-obsessive Macross fan. But, what was I saying? Right. As far as in-universe, the mind control system, I think that is why they didn't adopt it. Because, yes, the mind control system lets you control the Valkyrie expertly. However, so we actually have slightly similar systems in real life. In real life, there are remote-controlled cars that you control with your mind. What you do is you have to train the car to recognize what your brain thinks of as movement. So you think of movement forward, and then the computer tracks what parts of your brain are activating. And then the computer learns what your brain thinks forward is. And then from that, it can, you can, when you think of the idea of forward motion, the car does that. So it's a real life principle. So the YF-21's control scheme would actually work in real life. And I do also think that it's good that it does have a backup jet control. However, I think that is why the YF-21 didn't get adopted, because you have to train all your pilots now. Whereas with the YF-19, any Valkyrie pilot can instantly pilot the VF-19, which we pretty much saw with both Emerald Force in Macross 7 and even Isamu himself in Macross Plus. You don't need any special training to pilot a VF-20 or VF-19. However, if the YF-21 got mass-produced, the VF-21 you'd have to retrain all of your pilots to be able to use the special control system. Additionally, you'd have to make the special helmets required to pick up the brainwave signals, and even the pilot suit I think was different, so you'd have to make all the extra pilot suits, which is another added expense. So it's just so many added expenses on top of the fact that it's not a cheap unit to make. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. Not to mention, take some extreme concentration, you got to be calm. But more electricity stuff in your head, you have to stay calm so the car would move forward. Oh, you actually did that in real life. That is very cool. I've never actually met somebody who actually saw that in person, let alone did it. You have ADHD. Yes, somebody with ADHD. I also have ADHD, and it would be very difficult for me to, pilot the YF-21. And then there's also other issues, like the time where Gold might have tried to kill Isamu, because personally, I don't think he actually was trying to kill Isamu. I think he was just thinking, I could kill him right now, and then the computer decided to change that from I could to I will. Because he thought about it, it happened. He didn't actually mean for it to happen, but it did. So that means that it's that's another variable you have to account for in the battlefield. So I think that's another reason why the YF-21 didn't get adopted. But I do still like it, and I think is very cool. But I do think in-universe, the VF-21 is... Gold tried to kill him, and Eastman tried to kill Gold. Well, the thing is, that time, I don't think he was actually trying to. Not that particular specific time. But that's just it, is that we don't actually know. It's very difficult to say which, but he did say, like, oh no, as it was happening. So I don't think he actually meant to kill him right then. But it's impossible to know because of the way the control system worked, which is another thing when you save Gold from crashing. Yes, right then. So that's another reason why I think the mind control system is not something that I think Valkyries should have from an in-universe perspective. I do think it's very cool, and it made the YF-21 very interesting in the movie, and I was very confused when I first saw it, and it was interesting to try and figure out what was going on. But in the end, I do think that the in-universe, the VF-22, which is mostly the same but does not incorporate that system and also has some other improvements, I do think that it is superior in every way, although I like the design of the YF-21 a little bit better. Let me bring that back on there. And by the way, despite what you might initially think, this is actually not the Max Genius colors. They look very similar, but this is actually the VFX Ravens colors, and I forgot to say that again, because while working on Macross VFX, I believe Shoji Kawamori was working on Macross VFX and the original Armored Core at the same time. I do not think it is a stretch to believe that the name of the squad VFX Ravens, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that is an intentional Armored Core reference, which is pretty cool. And it is also interesting how this still, you can even, it's a little bit less apparent because of the visor you can see right there. But it's still very apparent that this is, that looks like a Quidlin Rao. Though I have 21 Reddit's less than do what it's feeling, I guess. Exactly. That's exactly the problem. But like I said, out of universe, that's very cool, and I adore that system. It's just that in universe, I think it is objectively bad for a military weapon to have. For those reasons. I also very much like its Garrock mode, because it's very interesting. Because of the fact that the main thrusters are on the back of the unit instead of the feet. In general, that makes its transformation system very interesting, and really shows that people who say that Macross has been using the exact same transformation system really need to shut up, because it completely hasn't. And then another example of not using the same transformation system would be the VF-5000. That is not the same transformation mechanism as the VF-1. And then, whereas the VF-11 kind of, for the most part, generally is, the VF-4, once again, is definitely not. And then the YF-19, while using a transformation mechanism that is similar to the VF-4, is different from the VF-4, and it's also different from the VF-1. This, by the way, is the standard colors of the VF-19A. I just accidentally deleted my fighter mode VF-19 file by pressing delete when I shouldn't have. But it's interesting to see this version of the VF-19, because most of us, I think, are, for the most part, probably most of us are very used to seeing just the normal YF19, which I actually do not have line art of yet. Or the VF19F, which I also don't have line art of yet. Most of us probably aren't used to seeing the VF19A. Even to me, this looks a little bit odd, because it's, for the most part, it looks exactly the same. Let me grab some of the F-type line art, because, so later it was replaced with the VF19F, which had the, it had some interesting changes, which I think makes it way less cool, even if it is technically objectively better. I do think it's way less cool. VF19F. So, I think it's probably best if I download these so I can just replace them with that. But not into my Macross folder because I want to remove the backgrounds. Okay. So I'll start with the mode that is the most similar, which is definitely Garwalk. But there's definitely some differences. And then fighters where the differences really become apparent. And Batroid actually has the only difference that I, like, you know, I actually enjoy. Oh, that's a WebP format, which even Google Slides can't use. Because WebP sucks. Okay. Did I delete that already? Did I just delete it and then download it and then like instantly delete it? Yeah, probably. Okay, there we go. I do actually like the head of the F-type better, but overall I do like the A-type better. Though, of course, my favorite version is the Fire Valkyrie. Which is, in my opinion, the best version. Oh, the other cool thing that I did with art is I made an edit to the Robotic Battlecry case. Because the normal Robotic Battlecry case shows Hikaru's colors. And I do understand that, because you need to draw in the audience. But it would have been cool to see it in the Jack Archer colors, and now you can! There it is, ladies and gentlemen. And everything in between. The Robotic Battlecry case with its VF1J in Jack Archer colors. Just don't zoom in on the fighter mode. Please. For the love of God. Anyway, what other Macross things we can talk about? Oh, I want to talk a little bit about the non-Valkyrie Macross mecha. I know that the stream is like specifically called Valkyrie stream. But I want to talk a little bit about the non-Macross ones. So, first one is the Cat's Eye. Interesting craft, this. I actually really like this design. I don't know why I didn't make the... Oh, I didn't make the windows transparent because that would be a lot of work and I didn't feel like it, and it didn't need to be done. That makes sense. Good on me for that. But it makes sense to have a dedicated radar craft. I mean, they exist in real life too, so of course it does. But there's a lot of things about this that I really like, such as these like reverse swept wings. They look really good with these engines there. And the canards, with the fact that the wings are so far back, canards just make sense. And then also the F203 Dragon. It's interesting that Roy, for some reason, went from piloting a VF-0S and then switched from the VF-0S to the non-transformable F203 Dragon 2. And I'm really not sure why. The only thing I can think of is he was a test pilot, so perhaps there was, or perhaps for some reason, or not for some reason, perhaps it was a prototype, not in service, active service yet, and he was, testing it. He does mention being a test pilot in that episode, so that is the most logical reason I can think of that Roy would switch from the probably superior VF-0, unless this thing actually was superior to the VF-0. Or, no, it is actually possible, considering the only Valkyrie sees the VF-0, or the VF-X, it's possible that this happened before the VF-0, actually, come to think of it. Anyway, this thing is still really cool. Very wide, though. This gives more F-15 vibes than F-14, as far as real equivalents. And then, of course, couldn't show that without showing its enemy, the MIM, that gets cut off a little bit, the MIM-31, which I really like this thing, and I don't even really like single-engine fighters. Not compared to twin-engine fighters. But this thing is really cool looking. This is very interesting, but mostly it's just got this, like, the way that it sweeps, like, entirely back, and then it's got this, like, giant intake with the bulge at the top for the engine, is a very interesting look. Oh, update, in case you haven't guessed or noticed, so far I have not died from a caffeine overdose, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, the MIM-31 is interesting. Actually, I need to redo this, having removed the background there, because there should be some there that is still there, but it's fine for now. It's not urgent. Oh, the ghost is interesting as well. The earliest ghost that I know of is this one, which we see in Macross 0. The QF2200DA. There was also a QF2200DB. The DB version could be mounted on the back of a Valkyrie. The DA version seems to be only standalone. Although maybe it could also be mounted on the back of a Valkyrie. Who's to say? I don't know. But anyway, this is the earliest ghost drone that we know of. Then the later QF3000E was used to help repel the initial Zentradi attack on South Eteria Island in, I think, 2011 or 2010, I don't remember. Anyway, that first attack. It's definitely a different shape, but there's still a lot of similarities, such as this intake here, or this here. But what's interesting to me is that this, as an atmospheric fighter, does not have it doesn't have wings, which is insane to me, but it's very cool. And this thing as a drone it's a very cool design, and it looks very futuristic while still looking like something that could feasibly exist, and I very much like it. And then there's obviously the Ghost X9 from Macross Plus, which I don't have a model, or I don't have art of it yet, but I do have this thing, which I need to work on. I want to redo the art of it. But it's the QF9IE Ghost. All of them are just called Ghost. The only way to differentiate them is by the model numbers. But This thing seems to be a predecessor to the X9 Ghost, despite the fact that that's more after the QF3000 model. I guess since it's just called X9 Ghost instead of QFX9, we could probably call them the 2200 Ghost, the 3000 Ghost, and the 9IE Ghost. But this one looks the most different out of all of them. But this like top part on there still harkens back to the 2200 Ghost. So it's nice that there's still that cohesion in the lineage, you know. What other non-transformable ones are there? Oh, there's obviously the Narrow. This thing is like, it's so brutally militaristic. I love it. It's like, it might as well be a flying coffin. The only way to see out of there is right at the front, because that way you can see what you're shooting, and really, what else do you need? It's like, this is what it needs to be and nothing more. Because why bother with that if you can just make more soldiers and make more pods? It reflects the centrality very well, and I really like that. Press the wrong button. Oh, and the Destroids. Like this one. Which might look just somewhat off to many of you, such as Ognemod. It'll probably look off to you. This is not the Destroyed Monster Mach 2. It is the Mach 1P. Not WHR-00-Mach 2. It's WHR-00-Mach 1P. Unlike the later one, which used better, it was, you know, better. It would fall over if it shot the cannon, so it would use its big arms to grab onto holes in bases or ships. And the person in my Discord server and who I interact with on Twitter, and also sometimes in my chats, Soupy/SirSobPFebs, says that he thinks it could farm if it tried. And I will say I do believe him. I also think that it could probably farm if it tried. But for comparison's sake, here is the Mach 2 monster. Basically the same size, it's the same general body, but with tweaks, and it doesn't fall over now, so it can have 3-barrel mortar cannons for arms. I love this thing so much. I absolutely, at some point, need a 1/72nd scale model kit, but I'm probably going to have to make it completely from scratch because that would be massive. The model kits that exist of this thing are more like 1/250th scale because this thing is like 30 or 40 meters tall. Well, more like 30. Yeah, it's like, well, no, it is 30 or 40 meters tall. So, I can understand nobody having made a 1/72nd scale model kit, but I gotta have one. Even if I must make it completely from scratch. Unless maybe there's some obscure resin kit or something out there that costs like $500. If there is, someday, I'll get it. Did I just accidentally delete my Destroyed Monster file? Yeah. I gotta check my garbage can on my PC after this to make sure I didn't accidentally delete any and not notice it. Because I probably did. When you say Destroyed in the context of Macross, most people probably think of the monster, which uses the Mach 4 the Series 4 frame, which you can tell by the model number, which is MBR. So that's MBR's main battle robot. Dash 04 Mach 6. The 04 is what denotes the frame type. It's a Mach 4 frame. Not Mach 4, it's a Series 4 frame. And then ADR is like aerial defense battle robot. Same frame. And then another one that most Macross fans probably have not heard of, that also uses the Series 4 frame, is the Destroyed Maverick, which was created using the Series 4 frame as a stopgap measure before they could develop other other Destroids, such as the Defender and the Spartan. Not the Spartan, the Phalanx. But one of my favorites that doesn't really get much attention uses the Series 3 frame. The Destroyed, I think it was Destroyed Cheyenne. I think it was Cheyenne, actually. From Macross 0. The Series 3 frame looks very nice. Honestly, this thing just looks like an Armored Core. This thing is it's just an Armored Core. It's like a second-gen Armored Core. And then using the Series 7 frame, which I think is the latest. The Spartan. Which fucking punches stuff. But you can still see some similarities to other ones. Namely, this one. Not this one. Was it this one? Oops. Yes, it was. So, particularly the shoulder-mounted missile pods are almost the same as the Tomahawk. Where are the other monsters? Not monsters. Wow. Here's another destroyed. The Phalanx, which also uses Series 4 frame. That seems to be by far the most commonly used frame. Interestingly, this had a second head type that we only saw once, which this is a fan-made art, or like line art of it. But it's an interesting design, and I would guess personally that it's probably for longer range compared to this head. Are there any other Destroids? I don't remember there being any. Oh, and of course, the weapon to surpass Metal Gear, the Spider Bug. That is its actual name. I'm not making that up. Anyway. Oh yeah, and this thing. So if it looks a bit odd to you, that is because this is not the destroyed monster. In fact, it's not a destroyed. If he disappears, it's because you lost power at home. Ah, I see. But this thing is the VB6 Koenig monster. And you just saw its Gerwalk mode. This is its, what was it? Shuttle mode, I believe, because I only have it marked as S. And then, oh, and interestingly, the Gerwalk mode does retain the usage of ground effective reinforcement wing armament with locomotive knee joint, technically. You'd think that would be the Destroyed mode, but actually you think the Gerwalk mode would be Destroyed mode, but this is actually the Destroyed mode. I don't know if it can actually properly fire the back-mounted cannons without falling over. But it's definitely a very interesting design, particularly the Destroyed mode, which is it's interesting that it can like transform into a destroyed monster. Oh, and of course this thing is like giant compared to I hate it when that happens, when my brain just like doesn't let me talk properly. compared to a VF1, I have chosen the Cavalier Squadron colors. Saying grandparents' house will be the zone with frequent scheduled power outages. I see. I believe a VF1 would probably be about that tall. Maybe more like that tall. So the Koenig monster is a lot bigger. Well, no. No, thinking about that one time that one Zentradi girl, I don't remember her name. Maybe more like that. But still, that's not very big in comparison. But the Koenig monster is very cool and very interesting as well. Making its animated debut in Macross Frontier, it's actually from before then in Macross Digital Machine VFX2, which I don't like as much as the original because you can't play in first-person mode, aka the best mode. Objectively worse for controlling, but it's first-person mode. What more must I say? What other cool things do I want to talk about before I end it off? Which might be, I might end it off soon. I might end it off in who knows how long. Oh, the VF11 had its own armor system called the Protect Armor. Destroyers don't get nearly enough love. That is so true. After Space War 1, because of the nature of how politics were going, generally, whereas the Valkyries were used for basically everything, particularly protecting the colony ships, Destroys were mostly regulated to, or mostly pushed back to work use. I don't know what the word that I was looking for, so I just said pushed back instead. But the VF11 has its own Protect Armor, which is APS-1. Or rather, its own armored version, which is, it's APS-1, which is also referred to as the Protect Armor. And it's a very interesting looking thing. Particularly the fact that it has a dedicated shield. I do wonder if it can actually transform, though, because it looks like that shield could probably have the other shield, or like be covering the other shield. And then, which would allow it to transform when it ditched the armor. But I don't think we see it do that the one time we actually see the Protect Armor in animation. So I'm not sure. Another interesting variable fighter that is not your typical one is the Invader. The VA-3M Invader. Which, and yes, this thing can in fact transform. That is the attacker mode. And then there's Gerwalk, not Gerwalk, there's Fighter. I mean Batroid. I said every wrong one. Attacker, Batroid, and don't do that. And Gerwalk. It's a very weird thing. But it's very interesting for sure. It doesn't really look like it should be able to transform, and then it does, and it's a transformation that actually does make sense. Shoji Kawamori is insane in a good way. Oh, there's another Destroid from Zero, which uses a completely different system because I believe it was made by the opposite side. but it still is technically destroyed. It's meant for aquatic use, well, more like amphibious use, and it's called the Octos. Which, honestly, this thing kind of looks like an MT from Armored Core. And once again, that's probably because it had the same mechanical designer. One thing that divides Macross fans, though, and I'm on the sort of like losing side, is which version of the Nostradel Gare is better. So, the version we know and love, the TV version. Perfectly good and wholesome, and everybody loves that thing. And then the where's the normal colors? There it is. The Do You Remember Love version. The only thing about this that I actually really like better than the original is the cannon. The cannon is genuinely better, the one on the back. But other than that, I don't really like it better, especially considering a person couldn't really fit inside this, unlike the original. Mostly the legs. A person really couldn't fit there. Because that's the thing about all the, well, I guess both. I don't think there's any others other than those two. But both of the Zentradi power armors we see is that they have proportions. The bicep area there and the thighs are both very short compared to the forearms and shins. Because like using a Valkyrie as a height stand-in for a Zentradi, since they're about the same size, that is not accurate. In fact, it's more like, not quite that either. Almost there, though. Nope, that's too much. It's more like that. Or actually, I think it's even less like that, yeah. That's a pretty accurate height comparison, I feel, once again using the Valkyrie as a stand-in for a Zentradi in height. Or maybe the Zentradi might even be a little bit shorter. So the knee has to be where the knee is, and the elbow has to be where the elbow is. And it, for the most part, it does that quite well. And it still manages to look normal and cool anyway, and I think that's great. I think with that, though, I think I am going to end it off here. But yeah, thank you a lot for watching. It was, this is definitely something that was easy to stream for me. Tomorrow's stream is going to be the original Harvest Moon for the Super Nintendo. Definitely an older game than a lot of the, or definitely, like, it's the oldest Harvest Moon that there is. So it doesn't feature a lot of the things like same-sex marriage or multiple player options that some later games did. But it's actually the Harvest Moon game that I've played the most, although I will be obviously starting over. I don't even have my current progress with me. But that's going to be tomorrow's stream. And I also will be putting out my schedule after this stream. If you'd like that, then I have a link in my description to my link tree where you can find my all my links, including my Twitter or my Discord server, in both of which I post my schedule. My Discord server also has its own link because you should definitely join that. It's the best place to interact with me and my fan base. and community, and also you can get stream announcements there, as well as any questions or comments or suggestions. That's the place to put those. And also, I have a Patreon if you'd like to help support me in my streaming. I will be eternally grateful if you went to pledge $5 a month to me doing this stuff. But that's going to be the end of the stream. I hope you all enjoyed watching. I had like I said, I had a great time. I could talk for hours more about this, but I do have other work to do, and you guys are probably a bit tired of hearing about Valkyries and another mecha right now. So, I will see you next time. Bye.